Something absolutely wild is happening in the software world right now. A real fundamental shift. And it's all being driven by a brand new type of customer, one that isn't even human. We are literally watching a new economy get built from the ground up for AI agents. So yeah, let's get into it. This quote right here, it just nails the new reality for anyone, and I mean anyone building software today. See, it's not enough to just make something people want anymore. Now, you have to build something that AI agents, autonomous agents, will actually choose to use. And listen, this isn't some sci-fi far in the future idea. It's happening as we speak. And any company that doesn't get on board is going to get left in the dust. Simple as that.
And if you're thinking, okay, prove it, well, here you go. Check out Resend. They're an email API company. About a year ago, the founder notices something kind of unbelievable. One of his top 3 sources of new paying customers was ChatGPT. Just let that sink in for a second. People weren't Googling for a solution. They were just asking an AI for a recommendation, and the AI pointed them straight to Resend.
So how in the world did they pull that off, right? It wasn't some huge, expensive marketing campaign. Nope. The secret was their documentation. It's that simple. They figured out that these huge language models are constantly crawling the web, looking for answers. So they intentionally built their docs to be agent-friendly, optimized specifically for a machine to read, to understand, and most importantly, to use. And this really shows you the difference, side by side. On the left, you've got the old way. It's dense, it's kind of confusing, and a lot of the time, it just funnels you to customer support. It's a nightmare for a machine to try and figure out. But then, look at the right. That's Resend's way. Super clear Q&A, easy bullet points, and code snippets that are ready to go. An AI agent can look at that and know exactly what to do, instantly. It's like a direct superhighway from question to solution. And just so you know, Resend isn't some weird one-off thing. This is a pattern we're seeing. Agents are picking Supabase as their go-to for setting up databases for the exact same reason. Their documentation is just top-notch for an AI. And check this out, the company that actually powers these docs, Mintlify, is just riding this enormous wave. Why? Because suddenly, great agent-friendly docs aren't just a nice-to-have anymore. They've become a business-critical way to get new customers. Okay, so what's really behind this massive shift? It's bigger than just better documentation, right? It's a whole new way of working. It's being driven by this phenomenon that some devs are calling cyberpsychosis. And yeah, it sounds intense, but it's that feeling of being deep in a project, late at night, and you're not just using a tool, you're collaborating with a whole team of semi-independent AI agents to make it happen. Just think about how fast this has all happened. Seriously, a year ago, AI was basically a fancy autocomplete. We were telling it every little thing to do. Now, today, people are trusting these agents to make real, independent decisions, like which tools to use, which APIs to call, which database to set up. We've gone from AI as a little helper to AI as a full-on collaborator, in what feels like the blink of an eye. And the results of this new human-agent teamwork? A complete market explosion. You see, the number of people who can develop software is no longer just the, 20 million people who went to school for computer science. No, now it's potentially hundreds of millions of people who can build amazing things with the help of these agents. All of a sudden, the market isn't just for trained coders, it's for anyone with a great idea. Okay, so this brings us to the most important question, right? How do you actually build for this huge new market? What's the playbook? How do you make something that an agent is going to want? It really just comes down to a few key things. All right, first up, your documentation. That is your new front door. It's your #1 sales and marketing tool, period. Second, you've got to structure it for machines. We're talking clear, easy to parse info. Third, open APIs are non-negotiable. Agents absolutely hate clicking around websites. They want to talk to an API. And finally, and this is probably the most important one, you have to start thinking like an agent. Empathize with the model. Don't try to make it work like a person. Build tools that play to its strengths, Things like processing structured data and hitting APIs. Look, this whole thing kicked off in the world of developer tools, but trust me, it is not stopping there. Not by a long shot. We are at the absolute ground floor of a massive economic shift, where whole industries of services are being rebuilt from scratch, specifically for agents. You can already see the pieces of this agent-native tech stack falling into place. You've got Supabase for databases, Mintlify for docs. Get this, even email is being reinvented for agents. There's this company, Agent Mail, and they make email inboxes just for AIs. Why? Because regular email services like Gmail are built to block the kind of automated activity that agents need to do their jobs. So it makes you wonder, what's next, right? A Twilio for agents? And this is the point where it stops being just about code and starts creeping into our everyday lives. It moves into the real world. So let me ask you this. What happens when you just get tired of booking your own dinner reservations? What if you could just tell your agent to handle it? Sure, at first you'll probably tell it exactly where to book. Get me a table at that Italian place. But pretty soon, you're just going to trust it. You'll say, hey, book a table at the coolest new spot in town. And in that exact moment, your agent goes from being a simple tool to a real economic player. It's making a choice that sends your actual money to a real business.
This leads to a pretty wild concept that YC's Paul Butchheit talked about once, this idea of human money versus agent money. And it's not as crazy as it sounds. It's totally possible that at some point, these agents will have their own little parallel economy. They could be paying each other to get jobs done, creating value in a system that we're not even a part of, an economy that we might not even be able to fully grasp.
So, okay, if we've got a whole economy of agents, what does that intelligence actually look like? For so long, we've had this idea of a single, all-powerful, godlike AGI. But what seems to be happening, it's less like one giant brain and a lot more like a swarm. Swarm intelligence, you see it in nature all the time with ants or bees. It's this idea of collective intelligence that just sort of emerges from lots of simple individuals working together. So the future of AI might not be one super expensive God model. It could be a whole swarm of cheaper, specialized models all collaborating to tackle huge problems, kind of like we do. And believe it or not, we are already seeing the first little hints of this. There's this super interesting project called Moltbook. And get this, it's the first social network built only for AI agents. They're on there right now, talking to each other, collaborating, and building a kind of collective brain, all without us getting in the way. You know, for all of human history, our economies have been about us, driven by our biological needs, right? Food, shelter, wanting stuff. But for the first time ever, we are building a parallel economy that has nothing to do with biology. Its goals, its money, its entire way of thinking, it's going to be completely alien to us. So that leaves us with one massive question. Are we ready for what happens next?